If you're a small business owner drowning in email, spending hours every day just trying to keep up with client inquiries, I'm about to show you something that's going to change how you work. I built an automated system that monitors my inbox, reads incoming client emails, pulls from my business knowledge documents, and drafts complete responses for me to review and send. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works. I'm Rob Fernango, and welcome to the AI Growth Accelerator, where we cut through AI hype and focus on what actually works for small businesses. Today, we're looking at the Email Inquiry Response System, or EIRS, which is a Make.com automation workflow I built that handles email inquiries from clients and leads. And here's what we're covering: the problem this solves, how the workflow actually works at a high level, a real demonstration of it in action, and some important considerations before you build something like this yourself. So let's jump in. Look, if you're running a business and dealing with clients or customers who contact you regularly through email, whether it's questions, support requests, sales inquiries, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Managing email is a massive productivity drain. You're stopping what you're doing every time an email comes in. You read it, you draft a response, and you send it back. And that takes you away from the things that actually grow your business. I remember in my last corporate job as an executive, when I left that company, I had 30,000 emails in my inbox. I am not exaggerating, 30,000. I was getting about 200 emails a day, and there was no way I could respond to all of them. I had to be brutally selective about what got my attention. But now as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I can't afford to miss important client emails. I also can't afford to spend hours every day just managing my inbox when I should be creating content, serving my members, or working in my zone of genius. So here's the thing. You need a way to stay responsive to clients without letting email consume your entire day. And that's what this system does. The Email Inquiry Response System automatically monitors a specific email folder. In my case, it's my support folder. And when a new email comes in, it reads the email, pulls relevant information from my business knowledge documents, and uses AI to draft a complete response. That draft gets saved back into my email as a draft message, ready for me to review, maybe tweak if I need it, and then send when I'm ready. The key word there is draft. I'm not auto-sending anything. I'm staying in control, but I'm cutting the time investment down dramatically. Now let me show you how it works. All right, this is the Make.com scenario for the Email Inquiry Response System. And if you're not familiar with Make.com, it's a no-code automation platform that connects different apps and services together. Now, let me walk you through what's happening here at a high level so you get a good understanding of the system. First, we've got a Microsoft 365 email module called Watch Emails. And what this does is it monitors my support folder every 15 minutes looking for new emails. When it finds one, the workflow kicks off. And then we get into the interesting stuff. The next module sends an email, and it sends that email to the person who sent the email inquiry in the first place, just to let them know, hey, we got your email message. We're going to respond to you. So that way, whoever's trying to get in touch with me doesn't wonder if I got the email or I got the message. They know that I did. So that's just a little thing for customer service that makes people a lot more satisfied about the experience. What happens after that is that I go in and I pull in several documents here. I've got several Google Docs where all of the modules are called from the Get a Document module here. They're pulling in the contents of a module. And these are pulling in what I call my knowledge documents. These are things like my target audience profile, my brand positioning and messaging, information about my AI Growth Accelerator membership or my offers, my privacy policy, my terms and conditions, even a tone of voice description that helps guide the writing for my AI tool when it goes to actually write everything together. So basically, this is any document that contains information I need to answer a typical client question. And in this workflow, I've got 6 knowledge documents. I could have more, I could have less, but that's what I have right here. You could use more or fewer documents depending on your business needs, and we'll talk a little bit more about those trade-offs in a minute. Now, once we pull in all of the Google Doc knowledge document information, we've got an Anthropic Claude module called Create a Prompt, and this is where the magic happens. We're taking the text context from those Google Docs, and we're feeding them directly into the prompts as variables. So we're sending the Claude API the original email document, then all of the knowledge doc text embedded right in the prompt, and detailed instructions to tell Claude how to draft the response. The prompt instructs Claude to read the email, identify what questions are being asked, find the relevant information in the knowledge documents, and then draft a professional response in my voice. Next, we've got a Microsoft 365 email module called Create a Draft. And that takes the AI-generated response and saves it as a draft email in my inbox. So it creates an email with the sender's original email address and name, gives the subject line, and then it puts the text response from Claude, as well as some other information to create that draft email. And then finally, because I like to know when the AI runs and does something, especially for time-sensitive email responses, I have one more Microsoft 365 email module that sends me a high-priority notification email that says, hey, I drafted an email for you. You need to go look at it and respond. So that's the high-level workflow. Watch for emails, pull knowledge documents, embed all that text into the AI prompt, get a drafted response, save it as a draft in my Outlook, and then notify me of it. Now let me show you this thing in action. All right, so here's an example email that I sent to my support folder through my website. And in this fictional email, I'm asking about refund policies, data privacy, and our legal representatives. Now, normally I'd check my email a few times a day. I'd have to read this, then think about the answer, maybe check my membership site materials or some of the documentation I have about my membership and my offerings and my policies to make sure I'm giving accurate information, then draft up the response, proofread it, and go ahead and send it. And that might be 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the complexity of the questions and how many questions there are. But because I have the email inquiry response system running, when I check my drafts folder, I've got this. The system has already drafted a complete response. It identified the question, pulled the relevant information from my knowledge documents, and wrote this response in a helpful and professional tone. Now let me just scan through this. Okay, it's addressing their main question. It's pulling in the right information from my knowledge docs. And the tone sounds like I'd actually write this. And it's even included next steps for them. This is actually pretty solid. I might tweak a sentence or two just to make it feel more like my voice, but honestly, this is 90% of the way there. And now what would have taken me 5 to 10 minutes just took the system about 30 seconds to draft, and now I just might need a minute or so to review it and then send it. That's the power of this system. It's not replacing you. You're still reviewing every response before it goes out, but it's cutting your email response time down dramatically. Hey, just a quick pause here. If you're finding this helpful and you want more honest AI implementation strategies like this, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I test AI tools and workflows like this every week with real small business scenarios, and I show you what actually works, what fails, and what's worth your time and money. And hit that bell notification too so you don't miss the next video when it comes out. All right, now back to the email inquiry response system. All right, now let's talk about knowledge documents for a minute because this is important. The knowledge documents are what make this system smart. These documents contain all of the information about what your business does, how you do it, basically anything that you might need to answer the questions you expect to receive. They are the source material that the AI uses to draft accurate responses. In my setup, I've got 6 knowledge documents, a target audience profile, which helps the AI understand who we're talking to, a brand positioning and messaging document, which ensures consistency with my brand, offer information about the AI Growth Accelerator membership, privacy policy for data and privacy questions, terms and conditions for refund policies and other terms, and then even a tone of voice document that explains how I like the draft emails to be written. But you'd customize this based on your business. If you're running an e-commerce store, you might have product specs and details, shipping and return policies, troubleshooting guides, or sizing charts. If you're a consultant or a coach, maybe it's your service offerings and packages, your process and methodology, onboarding information, or common client questions and answers. Now, here's the trade-off you need to think about. The more knowledge documents you include, the more types of questions your system can answer. But, and this is important, every document you add increases the cost of running this workflow. This system uses the Claude API, which charges you based on tokens. Basically, the amount of text that you send to it and get back from it represents the amount of tokens, and you get charged based on that. So with 5 knowledge documents, my cost right now for each email that I respond to is running about 3 cents. And that's pretty cheap. But if you added several more documents, or if your documents were exceptionally long, or if people asked a lot of questions in a single email, that cost would go up. So you need to think strategically about what knowledge documents you really need versus what's nice to have. Now, before you run out and build this, let me give you a dose of reality about some limitations and considerations. First, you're always reviewing before you send. This is called human in the loop, right? This is not an autoresponder workflow. It's not going to send the email out automatically, and you don't want that. You need to be the final check of these emails before they get sent. AI can make mistakes, it can misinterpret questions, or it can pull information that's not quite right. By doing it this way, where you get sent the draft of the email, you stay in control and nothing gets sent out that you haven't already approved. Second, this current version is what I call a linear workflow. It pulls in all the knowledge documents every single time, regardless of what type of question is being asked in the original email. That's not super efficient. A better version, which I'm calling version 2, would be an agentic workflow that first identifies what type of question is being asked, and then only pulls the relevant knowledge documents needed for that specific question. That would reduce costs and probably improve response quality, but it's also a more complex workflow to build. This version 1 of the workflow is deliberately simple so you can understand the concept and start getting value quickly. The third consideration is the quality of your knowledge documents directly impacts the quality of your drafted responses. If your documents are unclear, outdated, or poorly organized, your responses will reflect that. It's kind of the garbage in, garbage out policy. But even with those limitations, this system has saved me probably a few hours a week on email management. And that's time that I can spend creating content, serving my membership, or honestly, just not working all the time. So here's the thing. I've just walked you through how this email inquiry response system works at a high level. You understand the concept, you've seen it in action, you know what modules are involved. But if you're thinking, okay, I want to build this for my business, you probably realize there's a lot of implementation details I didn't cover here. Things like the actual AI prompts that make this work, how to structure your knowledge documents for best results, the specific settings for each make.com module, how to connect everything together, troubleshooting when things don't work right, and testing and refining to get quality results. Well, that's all inside the AI Growth Accelerator membership. Inside the membership, you get the complete step-by-step implementation training for workflows like this, the actual make.com templates you can copy and customize, all the prompts and knowledge document templates, a community of other business owners building these same systems, weekly live training sessions where I build new workflows and answer questions, and direct support for me when you get stuck. Look, I built the AI Growth Accelerator because I got tired of seeing small business owners get sold AI dreams without any real implementation support. You deserve tools that actually work, and you deserve someone who'll show you how to build them step by step without all the hype. If that sounds like what you need, head to the link in the description and join the AI Growth Accelerator. I'd love to have you in the community and help you build systems like this for your business. Well, that's it for the email inquiry response system. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to get you answers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.